Gamers, let's talk a little bit about Magic Find. So there was this recent change, this patch today, and it's going to be something's changing about Magic Find when Ender Dragons is launching. And it's confusing some people, but don't worry, I'm here to explain it. So, when Ender Dragons launches next week, there will be a change to Magic Find in the update notes. And we wanted to give you some context on why we made the change and explain the overall impact. This is a really good idea to give a heads up. Otherwise, people would go, wait, you're nerfing our loot. Why are you nerfing the loot? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing it, ain't it? And they're going to explain that. So, currently, with the exception of achievement points and time or location bonuses, the maximum Magic Find you can get is 735%. Okay, so in other words, if you have stuff like Lunar New Year, if you're in Silver Waste, right, if you have Call of the Mist, you can get a little bit more than that, right? But basically, the max number without your achievement points is 735. And what they're doing is they're capping it at 750%. So in other words, any boosters over that won't do anything, right? So, you know, if you have 800% boosts, you'll only actually get 750. It won't go any higher. But why are they doing that? Why would they nerf this? Well, the reason for this is exactly what they say here, is that when the Magic Find goes over 900%, it causes rewards in the arrow system. Our loot tables were not built to let it go that high. As the game ages, making changes to accommodate that become less and less feasible. This change allows us to be able to grant Magic Find more generously from new sources and even introduce more containers which can be affected by Magic Find, which we previously avoided due to the concerns outlined. So in other words, Magic Find might end up being more valuable because they're going to add containers affected by this, and it will also allow them to add other Magic Find sources, like potentially more Magic Find from achievements, right? Or maybe other forms, right? So boosters, and so on and so on and so on, right? Like different environmental effects, right? They'll be able to do that more frequently because it won't break the game. So they don't really say what they mean here exactly. However, I can explain that to you actually. And it's here on the wiki. And if you want to read this, guys, come and take a look at the wiki here. Magic Find is actually really weird with the way it works. So basically, you start out with a 1,000% Magic Find. That's the base. And then if you add another 1,000%, that basically doubles your chances of getting items. And the key thing to note here is that a 1,000% Magic Find, which is super, super high, right? Even more than 900. And that's why they say over 900. Then in this case, right, you don't get any junk items anymore. It will only give you like white items, blue items, green items, and so on. You won't get junk ever again. This actually caused a few problems with lucky envelopes from Lunar New Year in particular, because if you had really extreme maxed out Magic Find, you'd actually end up with worse drops, right, than if you didn't. Why was that happening? Let me show you. Let's go ahead and go to this over here. We're going to go and look at Divine Lucky Envelope, and we're going to preview that. So why was it that you'd end up getting worse drops from the Divine Lucky Envelope if you had too much Magic Find? Well, look here. Notice that a lot of the gold actually comes from junk items right here. These are actually technically gray items because they want you to be able to instantly vendor those items, right? So the problem is that if you had too much Magic Find, you'd start getting less of the golden tiger figurines and start getting more, right, of these items. So the green items and the exotic and rare items in the uncommon category and also in the rare category, which was a really big problem. So if you go too hard on Magic Find, it started impacting this. And this is true in the game. You'll notice, actually, that if in open world, they do this a lot in Path of Fire, actually, more than in other expansions. Sometimes when you beat an NPC, it will drop like a junk item worth just a bit of liquid gold. And I imagine that they were very concerned about too much Magic Find actually causing problems and losing value for players. So pretty much no matter whatever way you look at it, this is kind of a buff to Magic Find's effectiveness and usability overall, particularly as they're going to be adding new containers that will be affected by this. You could say, well, just fix the issue. And that would be a valid thing to say, but they'd have to probably seriously rework how loot works in the entire game. And that's another topic in and of itself, because Magic Find doesn't make you drop more items. This is the really key thing. Bonus explanation about Magic Find in this video. Here we go. Magic Find doesn't make you drop more loot. It makes you drop better loot, right? And that's the key here with why they're making this change. So it's not like, oh, you know, every time you roll, you have a chance to drop a rare item. Well, actually, you have a chance to drop an item, then that item has a chance to be better or worse based on RNG and based off Magic Find. So there's like a two-step process, right? One, will you get a drop? Two, which is not affected by Magic Find. And then two, how good is that drop? Right? And the more Magic Find you have, the higher the chances that you get a better item in the item drop slot that you are rolling on, right? And that's a complicated concept, and that's kind of a very, very basic explanation of how the system works. I'll probably touch on that a little bit later, because I do intend to talk about Magic Find just as a concept, because it definitely confuses people a lot. Okay, spoiler alert, I'm going to tease you guys. A lot of people think Magic Find isn't worth it. That's actually wrong. Magic Find is a lot better than most people think it is, and I will explain that at some point. Boom, I like that. We're getting the tease in there. But hopefully that explains how this works. If you still don't understand, ask me in the comments, and I will tell you how it works. I will try to clarify things. But that is basically the gist of this change. They're fixing it because too much completely breaks it, and it's because of this idea that, you know, junk items can be valuable, and also items that are lower rarity can potentially be more valuable than higher tier items as well. So they want to make sure that you're never in this situation where you get completely screwed over by having too much Magic Find and actually not getting worse items basically from these things. There may be some other things that available that we aren't aware of, actually, that maybe it was just breaking. Maybe maybe something was going horribly wrong with loads of Magic Find. We don't know the exact details there, but that's the example that I was aware of. I actually thought they fixed that issue with lunar envelopes, by the way, but apparently they didn't. So, hey, well, that's my bad. I actually thought they fixed that a while ago, but I guess they didn't. But they are now. Nice. And I think this is a good piece of communication, because otherwise I think people would be like, whoa, why are you nerfing us? Are you trying to make us buy gold? Why are you doing that? But yeah, there you go. Boom. Explained. And this is probably a pretty easy way to fix it and not completely break everything and have to do a lot of significant reworks to whether the way drop rates work and the way drop tables operate there as well. That's it. Magic Find done. Explained.